Join me as I explore the exciting world of model railways with behind-the-scenes features, step-by-step tutorials, interviews, videos, reviews and much, much more. I'm Dawn Quest and I love building model railways.
Dawn, what are you doing?
The sign. I'm here at the Matford Centre. By day, it's a cattle market, but this weekend it's being taken over by the Exeter Model Railway Exhibition. Let's go inside. As well as filming the exhibition this weekend, I'm here with my layout, Brief Encounter Monochrome. And it being a cattle market and all, while setting up, let's just say there was a delicate pong of cow in the air. Luckily for us though, the organisers placed us in a completely different area. How much would I get for a grumpy cameraman? With setting up complete, it was time to open the doors to the waiting crowds. And it wasn't long before everyone was getting on with the hard task of spending their money at the trade stands and taking in the sights of the over 45 different layouts. A bumper show for a bumper year. This year is a very special year for the Exeter Model Railway Society. It's celebrating its Diamond Jubilee, with 60 years of enjoying railway modelling. To commemorate the event, it's commissioned a Diamond Jubilee wagon in club colours, which sold like hotcakes. If you want one, be quick, you might still be able to get your hands on one. Details on the screen now. But on with the show. Lots to see, so let's take a look. Well, if it's 00 you're after, then fill your boots. There were 20 00 gauge layouts at the show, starting with Tidworth by Ian Blackall. Loosely based on the Salisbury area, it shows both early military usage and more recent passenger use. What I especially love about this layout is Ian's fantastic weathering. Everything is weathered to perfection. Upway Junction by Rob Wish is based on the climb out of Weymouth through Upway and Bincoln Tunnel. Set in 1960, it features typical southern and western steam stock and some diesel. A goods yard and small shed serve the Abbotsbury branch. While essentially fictitious, Craig Merthyr is based in South Wales, west of Swansea. Set in the 1970s and 80s, but designed to allow a varied timescale based on the running stock, it carries the name of a local colliery, which is now closed. It's not often I call a layout a load of rubbish, but in the case of Bristol Harbour, that's exactly what it's made of. This stunning layout is entirely scratch-built from recycled materials. Over to you, Bob.
Well, this is a layout that I started to build a little while ago, just prior to COVID. Well, I've been a volunteer down at the Bristol Museum, M-Shed in Bristol, for about 50 years now. I started on the railway and became a crane driver about 10 years or so ago, and more recently a skipper on the tugboats. So tried to encompass all those ideas into one in a model. So I started to build a crane model around about the COVID time and just got a bit carried away really. So I've added more and more cranes to what started out as a very small diorama. No 3D printing on here at all, other than some seagulls, which is a new addition. But everything else is made from scrap materials, all salvaged from bits and pieces. I use a lot of what they call Fomex, which is an advertising material. You often see it used all over the place, and that forms the basis for all the models that you see there, even down to the rivet detail On the cranes, I use a split lentil, which is the favourite thing there, and milk bottle tops and Marmite lids and things like that all come in very handy. I'm often rummaging through the bin, much to my wife's annoyance, and working out one or two bits and pieces, thinking that might come in handy. We've all got cupboards and drawers with things in there saying that will come in useful one day, and this is testament of that. The most challenging thing was this crane here, which is crane 32. They're all exact replicas of what we operate on the harbour side, but crane 32 is a 10-ton crane as opposed to these cranes, which are 3 tons. That gave me a little bit more scope to add a few more bits and pieces in this one, so this one is a fully functioning crane.
Stay with us, there's a whole lot more 00 to see, but first, it's funny t-shirt time, and this show's bumper crop did not disappoint. And before we get back to the 00, let's take a look at the N-Gauge on offer at the show. Stephen Dance's City Basin Goods is one I've seen at several shows this past year, but every time I see it, I notice something different. Set in the late 60s to early 70s, it depicts an urban freight yard and features a BR parcels depot somewhere in the western region of British Rail. As well as the parcel depot, the model includes fuel and cement terminals and a national carriers depot. A tale of 2 country N-Gauge scenes now. Frühlingsfeld is a pretty little layout showing a springtime country scene somewhere in Germany. Treeleaf and Folly, meanwhile, is one of 3 layouts from the Exeter N-Gauge railway modelers. Originally, it was completely analogue, but it's since been upgraded to both analogue and DCC. Shoring up the N-Gauge massive is a showstopper and a half, Newvaddon Parkway, another layout that's graced the MRQ channel several times before, and I'm always delighted to include it. And this time I had the real pleasure of talking to the father and son team behind this amazing layout, Darren and Nigel Glasson.
Newvaddon Parkway was designed on one Sunday afternoon, and I said to my dad, this is what I would like, and 2 years later this is what he come up with, and all his own work. Wouldn't let no one else help, so all the credit goes to Nigel Glasson, this man here, my dad. I run all modern image at the moment, but I can go back 20 years if I want to. But at the moment we're getting good public feedback with mainly one of the only N-Gauges running modern image at the moment, and the feedback is brilliant. The main feedback is there's always something moving, there's always something happening. The people just don't know where to look when Newvaddon's up and running. Everywhere you look, there's something different.
The most important thing is always to keep something moving on the layout, keep the people and public interested. People get very bored very easy.
Variety.
There's always something moving on it. There's different varieties.
There's always something different and different varieties. There's over 20, when Newvaddon is running, there's over 25 trains on there. It takes a while to set up and on destock, but at the end of the day, it's very worth it. Doing the Cornish proud.
Yeah.
Well, we hope.
Hear that? It's the sound of more 00 calling. So what are we waiting for? And it looks like the sheep have escaped. This is Gara Bridge, a charming layout representing the station of the same name, which was on the South Devon branch line from Brent to Kingsbridge until it was closed in 1963. I love the beautifully muted colours on this layout, which give it a sense of nostalgia, harking back to the charming area during the last days of GWR and 15 years of British Rail. Layouts from the Exeter Model Railway Society were out in force. I counted 3 on my ventures around the hall, including Marsh Green Road TMD, set in Marsh Barton, which is incidentally where the Matford Centre is located. It reflects on what the railway may have looked like if the Beaching Act hadn't been brought in the 1960s. Another layout from the creative hub that is Exeter MRS is Newton's Yard, loosely based in the southwest, in the era when steam and diesel shared the rails. When dreaming up new layout ideas, we're often encouraged to think outside the box. For Kevin Staden, though, it was very much a case of thinking inside the box, like way inside. In fact, you couldn't get more inside a box.
There's 16 on display here. There's another one got left behind at home. And then we've got the World War I Micro as well.
And which one did you start with?
Box Valley was the first one. That was followed by Bristol Harbour, which I'm as good as standing in front of. And after that, the family demanded they wanted something with snow on it. So we got a snow scene. I got so fed up with it being so pretty that I made the quarry next.
How long does it take to make one on average?
Oh, that's the $64 million question, isn't it? The first one probably took 4 or 5 months. After that, they take anything between a month and 6 months, depending what I'm making. The basic response is a one-word response. Wow. Because people don't expect it. It's simple as that. I'm very critical of them, so I never think they're as good as what some people do think they are. The next one's already underway. When we was away last October in Cornwall, somebody said to us, "Surprised you didn't have a Halloween one." So we're doing a haunted house.
One of the things I most love about exhibiting Brief Encounter is getting to meet so many lovely people. A big shout out to Shirley, who tells me she has 7 layouts. And you may remember the very talented 17-year-old Zara, who I talked to in my Women in Model Railways video. She was at the show helping out on the Newvaddon Parkway layout. As well as people, there were some 4-legged friends of the non-cattle variety. I wonder if treats would work this well on Grumpy. From Brief Encounters Milford Junction to Milford-on-Sea. Plans to turn this seaside town into a tourist attraction didn't include a railway station, but this layout shows what might have been in the 1960s. This next layout is a gem. You know me, I like a touch of frost on a layout. This also strikes a chord as it's set close to where I used to live, though a decade or 2 before I was born. Ray Norwood's Hounslow Sidings is viewed from the gardens at the back of terraced housing in 1950s and 60s Isleworth, an area he fondly remembers growing up in as a child. David Vanstone's Shoebrook Road is a fictitious preserve station on what might have been a branch line from Crediton to Thorverton, joining the Southern with GWR trains. It featured in the June issue of Railway Modeller, so go take a look. Time for a model railway palette cleanser and a little narrow gauge, and also a little Alpine Air. The Andea line is by Julia and Derek Boswell, is a set of modular stations which can be set up in a variety of formations. In the extended format, it's an end-to-end layout with a scenic fiddle yard at one end and a terminus based on Tirano in Italy at the other. Operation interest is provided by a junction station based on Pontresina, and 2 fictitious through stations, Andia and Bivio. Operations include mixed passenger trains, panoramic expresses and heritage excursions. What do you call a cluster of 009 layouts? Well, answers on a postcard please. Occupying a pocket-sized area of the main hall was a selection of pocket-sized layouts, each one beautifully detailed down to baked potatoes made from salt dough at the Great Pearl Mine, to the exquisite modelling on Queenie's Cottage. And this lovely layout, our Goed, which was saved from a skip, now in good hands. Before we're back to the last 00 loco offerings, it's just a quick detour to the amazingly precise world of P4 and trams. This layout represents Market Day in 1920s Wantage, when there was a regular passenger tram service between the town and the Wantage Road GWR station. It's 00 with a difference, live steam style. Always a crowd pleaser, and believe me, operating these are easier said than done. Beautiful to look at and fun to play with. We all know that a layout is never ever finished, but don't let that stop you if you're thinking of exhibiting. Merrifield is a work in progress layout by Dave Harding. Set in the southwest in the late 1950s and early 60s, Dave wanted to show what could be done using proprietary items. As he says, 7mm is often said to be only possible if you make everything. If O-Gauge is your thing, Dave strongly recommends joining the O-Gauge Guild. As he says, it has a great resource of information with a whole world of items you may require for your layout. It was the Exeter O-Gauge Guild group who rescued and restored Wedmore before returning it to the exhibition circuit. It shows a fictitious branch line of the Somerset and Dorset Railway at Eddington Junction. Another West Country layout, No Such Green, is home to this mainline operation with a small siding serving a factory unit. Steam and diesel both feature, covering a wide period from the 1930s to the 2010s. Woolbridge is an end-to-end branch line with a fiddle yard at one end and the branch terminus at the other. The main platform accommodates a 4-coach train and loco, and the station has a goods shed with sidings. If you're free this weekend and you're not sure what to do, well, why not build a layout? Weekend Yard was built over the weekend of the Stafford Guidex show in 2023 by a small group of O-Gauge Guild members. There goes my excuse of not having enough time then. We started with 00 and we'll end with 00, the last of the 00 bunch, and it's Cheffley by Mike Carter, he of Norriga fame from the Tunbridge show. It's a charming, decidedly British layout set in this sleepy town in the 1930s. From a layout builder who tells me he has a penchant for naming layouts after sheep. It's not me, it's you. Inspired by the Wisbech and Upwell tramway in East Anglia, and after reading Toby the Tram Engine as a child, this layout shows the goods line built in the cameo style with weathered features. It demonstrates what can be achieved with readily available off-the-shelf items to create a delightful fictitious location. Last but not least for this video, and created to celebrate the golden age of the GWR, this layout, featured in the Railway Modeller in November 2022, is set in 1936 on the outskirts of Durston, situated in a single-line cross-country route from the southwest to the Cotswolds. That's it, we packed a lot in, and now it's time to start packing up Brief Encounter to head home. But wait a minute, what's this?
Hey. Aww. Thank you.
Thanks to everyone who came to say hi. It was lovely to meet so many people, and thank you for voting. And now heading back to glorious Kent, if I can just find Grumpy. Now, where did I put those treats? If you like this video, please do like, share and subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified of all my future videos. And why not browse the shop at modelrailwayquest.com/shop. And to receive a 10% discount on everything in the shop, become a Questie. Join the Model Railway Quest membership to receive that discount and a whole bunch of perks and goodies. Details on how to join are above. I'm Dawn Quest, and this is Model Railway Quest.